Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're getting straight into something vital. Sustainable peak performance. Now, for those of you listening, high-performing professionals, coaches, athletes, you live the drive for excellence. But we know it's not just about pushing harder. Right?
Not at all. It's about finding a crucial balance. And we're drawing insights today from Coach Ed Padalecki's work, specifically high standards, high support.
Exactly. Our mission really is to pull out actionable strategies for leading yourself, using the same principles effective coaches use.
It boils down to a key question.
Which is, how well are you actually coaching yourself as you chase those high standards you set?
That's it. And Coach Padalecki points out right away that high achievers almost universally set incredibly high standards. It's often what fuels them.
Absolutely, it's the engine. But what happens, what's the reality when we inevitably don't hit those marks immediately? Coach P sees this as a really critical moment.
He does. He highlights two pretty common paths people take. Path one, get super self-critical. Just really hammer yourself for falling short.
Yeah, beat yourself up. What's path two?
Path two is more about stepping back, taking a breath, reflecting, maybe showing yourself a bit of understanding, some self-compassion.
And Coach Ed Padalecki's big insight here, the really powerful one, is that the absolute best performers, they do both. They somehow manage to combine those elite expectations with elite self-support.
That combination is absolutely the core of it. And what's really fascinating is how Coach Padalecki uses a specific coaching model, one from sports psychology, and applies it directly to how we manage ourselves.
Okay, I'm interested. He lays out 4 quadrants based on what?
Standards and warmth.
Exactly. Standards, the level of expectation, and warmth, the level of support or connection.
So let's look at the unbalanced ones first. What if a coach has super high standards, really demanding, but offers zero warmth, no support?
Coach P calls that the authoritarian style. He argues it creates an atmosphere of fear. Look, you might get short-term results, maybe compliance, but the long-term cost. Burnout, resentment. People are motivated just to avoid punishment. All right, that sounds draining. Okay, flip side. What about tons of warmth? Very supportive, very friendly, but low standards. Not much accountability.
That's the permissive quadrant. Coach Padalecki suggests this might feel nice on the surface, but it ultimately leads to complacency. People just don't get pushed. They rarely reach what they're actually capable of.
Okay, so no real growth there. Then there's the worst of both worlds. No standards and no warmth.
Precisely. Coach P labels this the neglectful quadrant. The outcome is pretty predictable. Failure, there's just nothing. No guidance, no push, no encouragement. It's a recipe for disengagement, really.
So the sweet spot, the ideal, according to this model, has to be that balance. High standards and high warmth.
That's exactly it. Finding that place where you're demanding excellence, you're pushing, but you're also providing genuine support, understanding, empathy. And this is where Coach Padalecki makes the crucial leap.
Oh, applying it inwards.
Yes. He encourages us to look at this exact model and see how we're applying it to our own internal game, how we manage ourselves day to day.
That's a really powerful parallel.
So these coaching styles effectively become our own internal ways of operating, our self-talk, maybe.
You got it. That high standards, no warmth coach, that's the voice of our harsh inner critic, constantly demanding, maybe berating, offering zero comfort or constructive feedback when we mess up.
That fuels frustration, doesn't it? Self-doubt, that negative loop.
Totally. It's a very common trap for high achievers.
Okay, what about the other imbalance internally? High warmth, but low standards. How does that look when we apply it to ourselves?
Well, Coach P suggests that can lead to stagnation. You become maybe too understanding, too quick to make excuses for yourself. You avoid the tough stuff, the discomfort needed for real growth. You feel okay, but you're not really moving forward.
Just kind of stuck. Comfortable, but stuck.
Right. And then the no standards, no warmth applied internally.
That sounds like just checking out.
Pretty much. Disengagement. You lose touch with your goals, your why, motivation tanks. You might feel lost, apathetic, disconnected from what you're doing. So to cultivate what Coach P calls that elite mindset, it really boils down to finding that internal balance.
High standards and high support within yourself, expecting your best, demanding that effort, but also giving yourself the compassion, the understanding, the permission to learn from mistakes, to pick yourself up after setbacks. That's what sustains effort.
Coach Padalecki uses a great analogy for this, doesn't he? About mentoring someone else.
He does, and it's really helpful. Think about how you'd guide, say, a really promising young colleague or maybe a talented athlete you were coaching. You'd absolutely set high expectations, right? You want them to achieve great things. But when they struggle and they make mistakes, you wouldn't just tear them down.
No, of course not. You'd offer guidance, encouragement. You'd help them learn from it, figure out how to do better next time. You'd support them through the challenge.
Exactly. You'd focus on bringing out their potential, not crushing their spirit with negativity. We need to apply that same mentoring approach to ourselves.
That makes so much sense. So how do we make this practical? How do we start actually doing this high standards, high support thing for ourselves?
Well, Coach Padalecki offers a really concrete challenge for today. It's got 3 parts. First step, assess your style. Honestly reflect. Right now, where do you lean? Are you mostly the harsh critic, or are you maybe too permissive with yourself? Just get clear on your current default mode.
Self-awareness first. Okay, that's fundamental. What's next?
Step 2, strengthen one weak area. Based on that assessment, pick one thing to adjust. If your inner critic is running the show, maybe the focus is consciously injecting more patience, more self-compassion. Okay, that didn't work. What can I learn?
Right, or if you're too lenient.
Then maybe the challenge is to set a slightly higher standard today. Maybe just one incremental step up in terms of effort or focus, not a massive leap, just a nudge.
So identify the imbalance, then make one small adjustment. Got it. And the third part?
The third part is about immediate action. Coach P says, identify one specific action you can take right now to level up your performance in some way.
Could be anything.
Anything relevant. Could be doing 1 extra rep in your workout, spending 15 extra minutes preparing for that meeting, consciously using a stress reduction technique when you feel overwhelmed. Something tangible, something you do today.
I like that. It takes it from theory to practice immediately, makes it feel doable.
Exactly. It connects the insight to behavior. And Coach Padalecki wraps this up with a really profound point about language. He talks about the word parent.
Parent, how does that connect?
He points out its Latin root means to bring forth. And he connects this idea to the true role of great leaders, great coaches, and ultimately truly high-performing individuals, which includes how we relate to ourselves. The goal is to nurture, to cultivate, to bring forth the best version of ourselves.
So it's not just about demanding performance, it's about creating the conditions, the internal environment for that performance to actually emerge and stick around.
You've got it. It circles right back to that core message. Yes, hold yourself to the highest standard, be demanding. But equally important, provide yourself the robust support, the warmth, the understanding that makes achieving those standards possible, and crucially, sustainable.
Okay, so if we're boiling this deep dive down, the key takeaway from Coach Ed Padalecki's work is crystal clear. Sustainable peak performance isn't about grinding yourself into dust with criticism.
No.
It's born from deliberately balancing those high expectations with really solid self-support. And this matters hugely for all of you listening, the ambitious pros, the coaches, the athletes, always striving for that next level.
And maybe we can leave you with Coach Padalecki's final encouragement. Really embrace that journey, that process of bringing forth your peak performance best self. It happens through finding that equilibrium. High standards, high support.
Well said. And maybe one final question for you to think about after this deep dive. What is one specific small act of high support you can genuinely offer yourself today while you're pursuing those big goals? Something to mull over. Until next time, thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope this gives you some food for thought as you continue on your journey.